So there are a lot of different commerce platforms out there for buying and selling pre-owned clothes, and my guess is that more creative, innovative ones will continue to pop up. But I wanted to share some of my favorites for buying clothes because selling would require a whole nother video, and why I like them, and some things I don't like or just to be mindful of, and a few tips and tricks interspersed through it all. So thanks for tuning in to Coyote Sharp, and I hope you learned something. All right, let's start with the granddaddy of them all, eBay. Now, eBay has been around for a long time, and it's still the king of the mountain, and I buy more clothes on eBay than any other commerce platform, and that's because they have a massive inventory. Everything from formal dress wear to vintage workwear to streetwear to designer clothes, it's all there. But aside from their massive inventory, here are some other reasons I like to shop on eBay. Number one, returns. eBay makes returns really simple, so if you get something and it's not as described or it's damaged, they will make it right and or send you a prepaid return label, and they do it all in-house. Number two, quality of sellers. So there are a lot of really knowledgeable professional sellers on eBay that offer free shipping and or returns, that have excellent descriptions and photos, and overall just create a more white glove experience if that's what you're looking for. Number three, auctions. eBay auctions are a great place to snag deals. So if you haven't checked out eBay auctions, highly recommend you do. Number four, search criteria. So eBay allows you to get really specific with search criteria, which is helpful for navigating their massive inventory. Number five, data. So eBay has a ton of info on past selling prices, volume of sales, and more, so you can get an accurate idea of price and market value for whatever you're looking for. Number six, seller recognition. So eBay recognizes, highlights, and compensates in the form of lower selling fees really reputable sellers, which incentivizes honesty and high levels of customer service, which is really nice in this little world of pre-owned clothing. Now, a lot of other platforms do the same, but I like that there's the financial incentive involved. Overall, eBay is great, but here are a few things that could maybe be improved on. And number one is their desktop messaging setup. It just doesn't feel the most intuitive. All right, number two, this isn't necessarily a negative, it's just something to be mindful of, and that's with their massive inventory and really detailed search selection, things can get lost in the mix. So if you're looking for something and it's not popping up, switch up some keywords, switch up some search criteria like gender or clothing style, and just keep digging. And number three, website design. So to some, their website might seem dated. I personally like it and appreciate that they value function over form, but to some it just might not be ideal. Next on the list, Poshmark, the social e-commerce site that seems to be synonymous with where the average person goes to make a few bucks cleaning out their closet. All right, some things I like. Number one, nice selection. So a lot of people are using Poshmark these days, so there seems to be a lot of inventory on their site. And most of it seems to be kind of contemporary, everyday wear type clothing, but you can still find some great vintage and streetwear pieces. Number two, returns. Similar to eBay, they efficiently and in-house handle returns, and from my experience, they've always been fair. Number three, cheap universal shipping costs. Awesome. So I realized when editing this video that my shirt wasn't entirely in frame. And being this is a clothing channel, that annoyed me as a watcher. So here it is. One of my favorites, and plan to wear it till it's threadbare. Number four, the social component. So Poshmark markets itself as a social e-commerce site, which is basically a mix of social media and e-commerce, go figure. Now, I don't really use this feature, but if you enjoy the community engagement with likes and shares and follows and kind of Facebook style setup and all that other hoopla, it might be great for you. Now, again, I don't really use the social component, but it doesn't interfere with my shopping experience, so overall, I guess it's a positive. So overall, Poshmark is great, but here are a few things that kind of annoy me or to just be mindful of. Number one, messaging sellers. So the default way to communicate with sellers on an item you haven't bought is to leave a public comment. Now, there are workarounds, but it's annoying. Number two, website function. So when you click on an item on Poshmark, instead of opening a new tab, it just reloads the same page, often taking a few seconds. Now, I prefer a new tab to pop up, allowing me to keep tabs, on all the different items I'm considering and not having to backclick to get to the main search page. Now there's a simple, easy workaround with this. You just right click on the item and click open new link. So in case you weren't aware of this, now you are. Number 3, not an international marketplace. I mean, there's some cool stuff overseas. Next up, Depop, what some might consider the de facto Gen Z marketplace. So some things I like. Number 1, the layout. It's simple, clean, intuitive, and just makes browsing really fun. I especially enjoy their mobile app. Number 2, returns, but with an asterisk. So Depop has in-house return/dispute resolution if you pay through, I think, Depop or like Apple Pay or another credit card system. But if you go through PayPal, you might have to go through PayPal. I didn't know this until kind of researching this video. I wish I had. Now, I haven't used their in-house return system. I've always gone through PayPal, but at least they do have an in-house system set up. And number 3 is their great selection of 90s, Y2K, and vintage workwear pieces. All right, some things that are less than ideal. Number 1, their 4-picture minimum. I mean, come on, you often need more than 4 pictures to get an idea of a piece's quality and condition. Number 2, seller quality. Now, this is a generalization, but from my experience, I've noticed an overall attitude of nonchalance, too cool for school, who cares about details attitude on this platform. Now, this isn't always the case, but don't be surprised if there's little to no description, or if there is one, it's of no real usefulness. So it just wouldn't be my first stop if I was looking to buy a suit. Number 3, and this is similar to Poshmark, when you click on an item, it just reloads the same page opposed to opening a new tab. But overall, a good marketplace with a good selection that I use a lot. Next on the list, Etsy. So Etsy's mission is a little bit different than the past 3 in that they focus on artisanal, handmade, and vintage goods. But that doesn't mean you can't find a wide variety of pieces on here, and I shop here a bit. So some things I like. Good amount of knowledgeable vintage sellers with awesome curations. Number 2, a lot of interesting pieces from all over the world. And number 3, their return option is in-house. Now, I haven't used it, so I can't really comment on it, but at least it's in-house. All right, some things that I don't like are to just be aware of. Number 1, good amount of counterfeit goods. Now, I find this comes with some, but not all, of the big global marketplaces, so just be careful and do your homework. And number 2, high prices. So some sellers on this platform seem to think that anything deemed vintage is automatically worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars, when in reality, it probably is worth about $10. So just do your homework before just buying anything on this platform. And if you don't know how to price and value an item, check out my 3-part series on price and value. Should help. So last and kind of least, Grailed. So for those unaware, Grailed gets its name from the slang term grail or grailed piece, which is basically a highly sought after piece of clothing, often from a designer brand, that really caps off a wardrobe and kind of symbolizes that person's overall taste. So with that in mind, I'm sure you can imagine the aim of this platform. All right, so some things I like. Number 1, a lot of Grailed pieces. So if you're into Supreme, Gucci, Chrome Hearts, or other cool designer brands, this is definitely a place to shop. Number 2, nice clean layout and design. And I especially like how they have a measurement section built into the layout, which encourages sellers to add measurements, or maybe they actually have to add those measurements, not quite sure. And number 3, it's a global marketplace, so there's tons of cool stuff from all over the world, creating opportunities for some really unique finds. All right, some things I'm just kind of about, and there's a few of them with Grailed. So number 1, customer service. So this is anecdotal, but from my experience, their customer service has been subpar. Every time I've had an issue, the person I'm dealing with seems to not really care, or just doesn't seem knowledgeable, or they just kind of kick the can down the road, and it's annoying. Now, I wasn't sure if this was just me, so I went on Reddit and dug around, and it seems I'm not alone with this issue. Number 2, returns. So every time I've had an issue with a purchase on Grailed, they've immediately kicked me to PayPal, which I believe services all their payments. And a quick stop at their website seems to confirm this is still the case. Now, PayPal is excellent, but it's an annoying and tedious extra step. And instead of having people who specialize in peer-to-peer clothing e-commerce, Grailed employees, you have someone from PayPal who, by no fault of their own, just lacks context on the situation, so it just kind of makes the whole thing a little trickier. So I wish they'd fix that. Number 3, prices. So because the website is called Grailed, some sellers assume that anything you post on this platform automatically becomes a Grailed piece, and thus they feel entitled to ridiculous asking prices. Really do your homework before just buying off this site. And number 4, there is a decent amount of counterfeit goods on this website, and I attest a lot of that to it being a big global marketplace, but it just doesn't seem that Grailed does a great job of policing their kind of nonsense sellers. So again, just be careful and do your homework. So I hope this video has been helpful, and if you think there's something I missed or was wrong about, please bring it up in the comment section. The more information, the better, because ultimately my goal is for this channel to be a reliable source of information for those looking to buy pre-owned clothes online. And with that, thanks for tuning in to Coyote Sharp, and have a great day.